A truth's initial commotion is directly proportional to how deeply the lie was believed. It wasn't the world being round that agitated people, but that the world wasn't flat. When a well-packaged web of lies has been sold gradually to the masses over generations, the truth will seem utterly preposterous and its speaker a raving lunatic. And this week's opening quote comes from Dresden James. Welcome to Surviving the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Igan. It's a pleasure to be with you once again, and I will be your host for the next hour. Well, a well-packaged web of lies is certainly what we've been sold in regard to the situation on this planet, folks. It really is. A well-packaged web of lies is really what has brought civilization to the point that it is now. And really, folks, when you start examining history, most especially the history of the last, say, 200 years, what you find is that everything we've been told about history, virtually everything, has been completely wrong. The fact is, the uncomfortable fact is that we've been looking at things from the wrong perspective the whole time. And while we've been sitting here enjoying ourselves and indulging in the trinketry and pleasantries that civilization offers, indulging ourselves with movies and sports and sex and fashion and all of these other meaningless activities that we get up to, the people that have been running the planet have had a very, very different idea. And they've been working to consolidate their power across the globe for a very long time. In fact, it is these people who have provided all of these distractions and creature comforts for us, simply so that we don't pay attention to what's actually going on. And this is, of course, why they have also enslaved us to debt, to keep us running on the treadmill, so we really don't have time to notice what's going on. And when we do get a little bit of time to spare, they make sure there are all of these distractions and pleasantries there that everybody else is doing and you want to do too, so that you never really step back and look at your surroundings. And the result is the world that we see today and the police state that is being built by the nations who have now decided to take it upon themselves to be the guardians of the rest of the world and have named themselves the Five Eyes. What they are really doing is keeping an eye on all of their population, folks, because this is a criminal gang, and it's worked very hard to take over the world, and it's done so with our unwitting help, simply because we allowed ourselves to be distracted and we allowed ourselves to be led down the garden path by these people. And we believed their media, we believed their lies, we fought their wars for them, and in doing so, we unwittingly constructed our own prison. Of course, there has been many people attempting to alert the world to this fact and wake the people up to the direction that we were going for quite a long time. I'm one of them. But even with all of that effort, it has still brought us to the point now where we are quite literally walking on a knife edge, with freedom on one side and absolute lockdown on the other. The fortunate part about it is that there are now many people, even within the mainstream, who are seeing the danger of our current predicament, and they are realizing that the governments are not acting in their best interests. They're actually working to consolidate their power and to prevent anyone from having the ability to speak out against their actions. They're removing all of the rights from Western nations. They're removing free speech from Western nations, and they are out there now working actively to ensure the global control grid comes swinging down into place. And the only people who are going to stop it, folks, is you and I. And the only thing we really have to do to stop it is to stand up and speak our truth and to spread information with people. We don't need violence. We just need people to take the blinkers off and look at the situation humanity is in with realistic eyes. Take off the rose-coloured glasses and look around you at what's happening, because it's coming to a suburb near every one of you who is listening to this show. That is, of course, if you fail to pay attention to what your government is doing and you fail to address the situation. And you are being given every opportunity to do so. And that's the thing, folks, and we've really got to the point now where we cannot allow ourselves to be constrained by such things as political correctness. We cannot allow ourselves to be led down rabbit holes by conspiracy theorists or cultists that are attempting to teach you that you only need to establish your own personal freedom. Because there is no individual freedom on this planet, folks. There will be no individual freedom, and there can be no individual freedom while the collective is still in prison. There can be no freedom for the individual without freedom for the collective, and anyone who tells you otherwise is a fool and is leading you down a blind alley. You know, all the work that's been done with the free man movement, the trust law movement, and all of these things, it's been useful in exposing the fiction, folks. But that is all. Now, I've even gone down these rabbit holes myself looking for remedy, but eventually I found that there was none there. It helped me understand how the system works. It showed me what they do. It showed me the fraud that they commit. But there are people who say, oh, this is fraud, they're committing fraud, you don't have to do that. Don't think that they care about committing fraud, folks, because they don't. Because the legal system is only there to tie the people up in red tape. The powers that believe they be don't care about the legal system. They just do whatever they want. And if you think they do care about the legal system, folks, these are the people who carried out 9/11 and killed 3,000 people in one day, not to mention the people on the aircraft. They carried out the London bombings. They carried out the Bali bombings. They blew up a train in Madrid. They've done all of these acts of terrorism all around the world, and then used the events to go and kill 1.6 million people in Iraq, and to go and bomb Libya and bomb Syria and destabilize Egypt and do everything that they're doing around the world. Do you honestly think these people give a damn about the legal system or whether you find your way through it? They don't, folks. And these are the people who are currently controlling the planet, and these are the people who are locking the world down into a police state using their fake war on terror. So, if you think that there is remedy in this legal system, folks, if you think there is remedy in the free man movement, just say the words 9/11 to yourself, and then again ask yourself if there is any remedy. You know, the problem I see with a lot of the free man movement is that these people still don't understand that the legal system is fiction. If they did, they wouldn't be trying to find remedies to it. They'd realize that it's fiction, that all you have to do is step above it, but the only way you can do that is if everybody steps above it. Otherwise, you're just tall poppy and they just hack you down. That's what they do. You're just a nail sticking up, and they come along and they bang you on the head. Sure, they might let you go for a while. They might let you teach other people about this rabbit hole that you're going down. They like that, because then these people go down that rabbit hole too, and they stay inactive as well. Because that's a problem with a lot of the free man movement, lose the name, all this stuff. These people are completely inactive. They've disconnected themselves from the battle. They think they're free. They're walking around in a world full of slaves that is being destroyed around them, and their vision is so blurred that they honestly think they're free while they're standing in the middle of a prison, simply because they can walk around okay. But you're finding that even these remedies don't work, folks. A lot of the free man remedies, the lose the name, all this stuff, I mean, never ever try these things on the side of the road with a police officer, folks. It may work in court if you've got a lot of backup there with you so that the judge can realise that he's under scrutiny and he may have to do the right thing. I mean, hell, I've even used some of these things when I've been confronted by police officers when I've been out at night, but I've made sure that I've had a crowd of people around me so that I had backup. But if you try it on the side of a road with a police officer, they won't listen. They don't care. A lot of them aren't even smart enough to know what you're talking about. They'll just grab you and probably tase you and throw you in a hole, because that's what they do. And all the time that we spend figuring out these remedies and battling the legal system personally, we're not battling for the collective. We're not looking at the real situation. We're not stepping above the fiction, and we're not actually working to make a difference globally for all mankind. We're locked in a little bubble of sociopathy and narcissism and are thinking only of ourselves and believing that we have the power to step above the system. These people's egos actually get that big that they believe they have the power to step above the system while the system still remains in place, and that they can do it without the help of everybody else and by leaving everybody else behind. And it's absolutely absurd, folks. It's truly a preposterous way of thinking, and these people are not only still locked in the fiction, but also very much down a rabbit hole that they can't seem to find their way out of. You know, what is really needed on the planet right now, folks, is action. And it's the type of action that can only really be achieved through unity. So all of these theories and myths and rabbit holes and all these things that people are trying to lead other people down, they need to stop and start looking at things realistically and start treating people respectfully and simply share information with people. Share information with them that they can understand. Share information about the war on terror, about the crimes that these government are committing and the many crimes they have committed. Just make sure you're sharing information that is real information, tangible information, physical, real stuff that people can see and they can identify with. Because when you're addressing something that people can identify with and you help them see it from the correct perspective, it's far more beneficial and far more worthwhile and wakes them up far more and leads them on the right path far more than trying to cram some esoteric information out of left field down their throat. You start going down these rabbit holes about the legal name and the legal fiction and this and that and word magic and all of this sort of stuff, and people just get glazed over and they either shut down completely because the information is just too damn strange for them, or go down a rabbit hole of research and they don't act. And we need people to act. We need people to act right now. We really do. Because we're in a defining year at the moment. Remember, folks, these people always do things in 7-year cycles. It's like the Shemitah. And we are in a 7-year cycle at the moment. Remember, 2001, 9/11, 2008, the great stock market crash. Now we're in 2015. What do they have planned for us this year? And what is needed now, folks, more than anything, is for people to stand up and speak their truth and share real information with people, but information they can understand. But all of these freeman people who've gone down these rabbit holes and they've worked to expose the fiction, that's great. Now we know how the fiction works, but understand something. It's fiction. Therefore, you cannot use it to establish your freedom. And if you think you can, you are still in the fiction. Because the truth of the matter is that the only thing that is going to establish freedom for mankind is mankind remembering who and what they are, remembering they don't have anybody to control them, they just have other people on the planet, and stand up, call a spade, and speak their truth. People just have to put down the fear, folks. And that's what I'm actually finding with a lot of the Freeman movement. A lot of the Lose the Name crew, they're just in fear. They're running away and they're hiding and they're too afraid to admit they're wrong, and they're too afraid to stand up and confront the system head on. They prefer to get a little bit of legal knowledge to give themselves a little bit of mental confidence and then run off and hide somewhere on their alternate community or whatever. And folks, this simply makes them part of the problem, because we need people to act. We need people to confront this system head on, especially those with the knowledge to confront it. That's what we need them to do. And really, that's what they need to do for themselves as well. I mean, if they do care about their freedom and they do care about the world and they do care about everything they've researched and they want to make a difference, then now's the time for them to stand up and do it. And if they don't, then all of that research has been for nothing and all their time has been wasted, and they've simply done exactly what the system has wanted them to do. And I think that's a lot of why the Freeman movement was put out there, just to lead people down rabbit holes of fiction. And it certainly did a good job. It actually even got me for a while. And that's an interesting thing, folks. You know, you can actually go to the Crow House, you can go to my radio archives, and you can see me go down all these rabbit holes. If you go back, you can actually listen to the archives from 2008, and there's literally hundreds and hundreds of hours there, so it'd probably take you a while. But if you did go back to 2008 and you played the shows chronologically, you'll hear my growth. You'll hear how I've gone down all these rabbit holes, how I've believed there was remedy down some of them, only later to discover that there wasn't. You'll hear the growth that I've made along the way. And many of those who've listened to this show have made this journey with me and have gone down the same paths, explored the same rabbit holes, and experienced the same growth. And it's all been, as I said, it's been useful in exposing the fiction, but there's no remedy there. The remedy has to be in the hearts of the people. It has to be when we stand up. And there's so much information coming out now, ladies and gentlemen. There really is. I mean, the last year there's been so much information come out. There's been information about World War II. I recommend that people read a book.